right one of these days. Welcome on in to the PHNX Feedback Podcast right here on PHNX. My name is Derek Montilla. Of course, I'm your mayor of PHNX. This guy next to me, he's your thunderstick. He's also my vice mayor. It's the one and only Jesse Friedman.
Are we live today?
We are live today.
Is it actually working?
We are live, and I'm wearing a special shirt today, by the way. Just in honor of bird murderers. Which we will get to. Plenty of bird murder talk. But the Arizona Diamondbacks did do the thing that they should have done, and that is beat the Oakland Athletics in a 3-game series. Today, finalizing the win with a 5-3 victory that was, once again, way closer than it needed to be. I didn't feel good about this game, Jesse, because I was listening to it on the radio as I was driving over here to the studio. And pregame, they were just saying how this game was already in the bag and that the Diamondbacks should walk over them in this game without a problem. And it felt a little cocky, especially
Chris
after
Garagiola? Our guy Chris Garagiola
I'm not trying
said
to throw
that?
Chris Garagiola under the bus. I don't know if it was him, but I know I do believe Josh Colmenter was involved in some of that discussion. It was just interesting because, of course, this is much like the other series I feel like we discussed, where yes, they are baseball teams. Yes, they are capable of not getting steamrolled by the Diamondbacks, and maybe the Diamondbacks aren't really that good enough of a team yet to be going in and steamrolling the bad teams without breaking a sweat. But it feels a lot like the Rockies and the Royals series, where they played well enough that it felt like they should have swept the A's in this series. But of course, we talked about the Game 2 disaster and things falling apart for them. We had a little bit more of that today after a fairly good outing from Ryne Nelson, which something that Diamondbacks absolutely needed out of him today. They could have used a little more length, but they did get a really good outing from Ryne today.
They did, yeah. 5 1/3 innings, no earned runs. It's funny, Luis Frias was, he's like public enemy number 1 right now in the bullpen for the game that he had today, but he actually came in a really big spot, bases loaded, 1 out as Ryne Nelson exited the game, was able to get those last 2 outs in that inning. So yeah, Ryne Nelson's final line looked great. He was very fastball heavy today. 62% four-seamers, 21% cutters. He only threw a few changeups, curveballs, and sliders. So he continues to rely quite a bit on his fastball. But that kind of worked for him today. Ryne Nelson's four-seam fastball is his best pitch. There's no question about that. And, even if he's a little bit heavy with it at times, it's hard to square up. It's a really good four-seam fastball. That's kind of what Ryne Nelson's calling card has been ever since he got to the big leagues. And he showed that, it's not going to work out every time, but, especially against an Oakland A's offense that isn't great, you can have a fastball heavy approach and have some success. I think this is the most complete outing that we've seen from Ryne Nelson this season.
And we've said that a couple of times now. We were very pleased with Brandon Pfaadt's last outing. We know Tommy Henry, maybe not his last outing, but, his previous outing
were pretty good.
So the Diamondbacks rotation is starting to come together, and it feels like, for at least the time being, this start for Ryne Nelson really kind of cements that he has to remain in the starting rotation for now, at least, right? I mean,
yeah, you can. It wouldn't feel right in like 4 or 5 days to bring Zach Davies back and kick out Ryne Nelson when he just threw 5 1/3 scoreless, right? And Brett Johnson makes a good point. There were some walks. It sort of felt like
a lot of walks today.
It sort of felt like the wheels were coming off for Ryne Nelson in that 6th inning. Like I said earlier, ironically, Luis Frias was the guy to come in and save the day there. But yeah, this situation with the three starters in question continues to just get more and more murky. One day it feels like Ryne Nelson is sort of the odd man out, and then you have Tommy Henry struggle, and then you've got Ryne Nelson having this start, and now it's like, all right, maybe Tommy Henry's the odd man out. And then we're about to see Brandon Pfaadt start again in this series against the Pittsburgh Pirates. And, he had one really good start against the Giants, but the 2 starts before that were obviously not so great for him. So this continues to be a very difficult situation to predict. All we know for right now is that the Diamondbacks need Ryne Nelson to come back and be more like the starting pitcher he was last season. And I think you're starting to see some glimpses of that.
We talked about the anxiety that's kind of going through probably some of these younger pitchers. They all know each other well. They're all kind of competing against each other, which probably doesn't feel great when you're also competing against a friend, and also the fact that you are competing against yourself. And there's probably a lot of pressure being put on these guys. I will say this, though. At this point, that pressure, and forgive the cliche, but like it creates diamonds, right? And so we kind of need to figure out at this point which of these guys is really going to be the standout here. And it's not to say even Zach Davies is guaranteed a spot back in the rotation should he struggle, and these young guys can continue to at least put up outings like we've seen out of them recently. But
yeah, Rob makes a good point. You know, what are we going to do when Zach Davies comes back and we remember that, oh wait, he sucks? I don't know. I don't know if I would quite say that. The D-backs have gotten some very subpar pitching from those back three starters so far. But yeah,
we're guilty of that. I mean, Zach Davies wasn't great this year. He just had like one or two good starts. But
I mean, he had two starts, and you could make a case that neither of them were particularly
well.
He
was their ace for a brief period of time. Don't forget that, right? So, but the thing about it is, you're absolutely right. Like, even we've talked about Zach Davies returning to the lineup or to the starting rotation, like as if it was some sort of perhaps savior, perhaps somebody that's really going to bring stability to the rotation. You know, we're probably overstepping our boundaries there when we're saying that sometimes, but it does feel like Davies, by comparison to the youth that they have in the rotation, at least brings a little bit of experience that they don't have, a little bit of veteran presence, you know, just the ability to come back to this rotation and perhaps add some stability, but we don't know that for sure. We don't know how Davies is going to pitch when he returns.
I mean, he had two starts and they were both against the Dodgers. One of them, you're right. One of them, 5 innings, 1 run was a very good start.
Right.
And that was the point in the season when
he was
Gallen and Merrill Kelly were terrible. Yeah. Everyone was terrible except for Zach Davies. And then his second start against the Dodgers did not go nearly as well. So yeah, I mean, Zach Davies is a number 4 starter at best, right? I think last year he probably overperformed a little bit with his 4.09 ERA. I'm not sure if that's really where his true talent level lies. But even if he's a 4.5 ERA pitcher who can consistently give you, 5 innings, maybe get into the 6th every now and then, you'll take that right now if you're the Diamondbacks.
Yeah. Luis Frias was recalled from AAA Reno, and they sent down or optioned Alek Thomas, which we'll get to more here in a bit. Not the greatest news, obviously, there. We did know a move was imminent, considering that they needed to do something for a bullpen arm. And it's odd that Luis Frias was both the hero of today and also kind of the villain as well, right? Like,
probably more the villain than the hero.
I mean, but
being honest,
he really did come into quite the situation and was able to get himself out of it. 1 out, bases loaded jam, and he was able to get out without giving up a run. But then the next inning, everything was kind of created himself. He walked
the first 2 batters of the inning,
he gives up a dinger.
And everyone, of course, on the Twitter was saying how Torey Lovullo should not have allowed Luis Frias to face Ramon Laureano,
including this guy right
situation, which is fair. Yeah, I think there's a case to be made that Luis Frias should have been removed immediately. Once you have a pitcher who has the track record that Luis Frias has, which frankly is not that of a very successful major league pitcher. He was not good at all in his big league stint early in the season. I think you have a responsibility if you're Torey Lovullo to make sure that, Luis Frias is here to give you some length. He's here to give you some much needed innings, but you also don't want to let Luis Frias be the reason that you lose a series to the Oakland A's. And I think there's a strong case to be made. He probably allowed Frias to face one too many hitters there. On the flip side, he's playing the matchups, right? Ramon Laureano is a right-handed hitter, so it does sort of make sense. Let Frias try to get Laureano and then bring in Kyle Nelson for the lefty. But I think that you could make a strong case that in this situation, the Diamondbacks should have just removed Luis Frias right away. It was 2 very uncompetitive at-bats, 2 walks to start the inning. You've got the tying runner coming to the plate, and Luis Frias threw about as center cut of a 4-seam fastball as you'll ever see.
Malignant Upper said it. He threw 1 legit strike in 10 pitches, and it was right down the middle. And that's it was an awful
There's a level of like uncompetitiveness where you have to be like, okay, yes, I want the best matchup, but also like this is potentially a pivotal moment in the game, and we don't want to let Luis Frias be the fall guy in a game like this. And fortunately, the D-backs offense was able to answer later on. Miguel Castro, was good there in the 9th inning. Jose Ruiz was good in the 8th inning.
It was
Everyone
so nice.
Can go home happy.
Yeah, it was so nice to have a nice, calm 9th inning.
It was pretty calm.
Where the job just got done. He did the job that he came to do. So shout out to Miguel Castro for being that. And shout out to this offense for generating enough runs, of course, to put the Diamondbacks back on top after they lost that lead. The answer backs always answer back. Don't forget that. Corbin Carroll homered in this game, 405 feet to straightaway center. Beautiful dinger. Great to see Corbin Carroll back with power. Christian Walker also homered yet again.
It's a daily
just
occurrence.
Put your money on the BetMGM app on Christian Walker hitting dingers, and you're going to win most of the time. 11 homers this season, and he is now on pace for over 40 home runs this season.
It's not bad. And it's not just that Christian Walker is hitting home runs. He's also, his batting average has been hovering around 270, which is excellent for him. I mean, if you get Christian Walker hitting, over 250, you feel like you're in a really good spot. He does continue to struggle with runners in scoring position.
He's not a risk king, that's for sure.
He's not the risk king of this Diamondbacks team.
He's not a part of the risk royal court at all.
Right. But yeah, I mean, he's been just so big for the D-backs early in games. You kind of feel like he's maybe not doing it at the end of games in the most pivotal situations with the game on the line. You'd like to see him come through in some of those spots as well. But there's something to be said for, yesterday getting out to a 2-0 lead almost instantly, and today having a 1-0 lead early in this game as well. So Christian Walker continues to be outstanding for this D-backs team early in the season.
But not good enough to be King Snake 2 days in a row.
No, not that good.
We have a guy, of course, that you might have heard of before. Lourdes Gurriel Jr., the hottest hitter in baseball, baby. 11-game hitting streak continues through this series. He has 2 dingers, and he also scored the go-ahead run in this game to give the Diamondbacks the lead. So Lourdes just continues to be magical, and I joke a lot about the purple hair thing, but as much as I don't want to believe the words I say impact this team or the way I dye my hair impacts its players.
It's not the words you say, Derek. It's the color of your hair.
It's the color of my hair.
The outcome of the Diamondbacks.
Even the Diamondbacks Instagram account was talking about how we all need to go dye our hair purple. So they're on board with this. But of course, Lourdes has just been outstanding. I mean, you can't say enough about what it's been. And me and Jesse have quite a few laughs about the fact that all of this really has turned on since May 2nd, which happens to be the morning that this shit happened.
Yeah,
but
it's pretty crazy.
I mean, I think that when you look back, we talk about the trade. We'll talk about, Dalton Varsho, and maybe we could have kept Dalton Varsho. Maybe we could have packaged one of these other guys that were rumored to be part of that package when it comes to like Alek Thomas or Jake McCarthy potentially being the guy that the Diamondbacks traded away. I just don't know if they would have gotten these 2 guys back in return for that haul, right? And it's like, man, Lourdes and Gabby both have just absolutely paid off, and I mean, been more than I think you could have absolutely asked. I mean, just in this stretch, Lourdes has more home runs than he hit all last season.
Yeah, he already has 7 home runs,
and that's dating back to May 2nd, right? So it's like, man, it's incredible how good he's been.
Yeah, he wasn't good in April at all. Like Lourdes Gurriel got off to a slow start this season, which is something we talked about early in the year. That if you look at his career numbers in April, Lourdes has kind of always been a streaky hitter. And April,
you brought that to Tori's attention at one of our press conferences.
I did. Yes. Lourdes has a history of being a very streaky hitter, and generally April has not been a good month for him. And it wasn't this year either. Lourdes Gurriel, if I'm remembering correctly, had a sub 700 OPS as of May 1st. And here we're talking about Lourdes being one of the best hitters in the National League. That is the power of Derek dyeing his hair purple. I have no other natural explanation for this other than
neither do I.
Other than that. So we'd have to embrace it, Derek.
We really do. And Lourdes should embrace it.
I can't make sense of it, but apparently that's the way it works.
I told you that telepathically our hair is linked through the television, but I also feel like if Lourdes wanted to fly me out and pay for me to stay like in the hotel,
if you were in
attendance
for these road games,
he'd go 4 for 4 every single night.
Yeah,
at least 3 dingers and a half a dozen RBI every single night. But whatever, I can do it. I can do it remotely too. It's fine. But the biggest story isn't the Diamondbacks beating the Oakland A's today, but it is something Diamondbacks related in Oakland, and that is that Zach Gallen officially joined a very prestigious club when it comes to being a pitcher for the Arizona Diamondbacks. He joins Randy Johnson as the only other person to accomplish this feat. Am I talking about an actual achievement? No. Am I talking about some sort of scoreless inning streak or perhaps an ERA that he matched? Not at all. What I'm talking about is Zach Gallen killing a motherfucking bird. Zach Gallen killed a bird with a baseball today. He used his hand and a ball as a weapon, and his arm was involved too. And there's video of it. We have video courtesy of Bally's. Apparently, Zach Gallen brought this to their attention because he wanted to see the video himself. There's the bird. There's the bird not existing anymore, Jesse. But it gets worse because then like Zach comes over and like stands over it, and then like I don't know who he was throwing a bullpen with. I don't know who that was kind they like high five.
Kind of looks like Dan Carlson, Diamondbacks pitching coordinator. I'm not totally sure if that's who it is.
They kind of celebrate over the bird's dead carcass, and I for one am with it.
I mean, when like normally killing birds is not something that we would stand for here on the PHNX D-backs podcast. But fair enough.
Doing it with a baseball is fucking awesome.
But yeah, there is something to this that if you are a member of the Arizona Diamondbacks, you can be a great pitcher without having murdered a bird. But you can only be the best of the best, Derek. There is a tier that you simply cannot reach unless you have thrown a baseball that collided with a bird and ended the bird's life. It's just part of the lifeblood of this baseball organization.
You've reached a tier of being an elite pitcher that few ever reach. In this case, only 2 within the organization. And of course, that brings us to something that we like to call throwing shade. Can we get a little throwing shade music, Damon? Let's go.
Oh, now we're
Who are we throwing shade at, you might ask? Do you think we're throwing shade at Zach Gallen for killing a bird? Absolutely not. I am throwing shade at birds, Jesse. Birds. Because birds have no business trespassing inside of baseball stadiums. And I have no sympathy for this bird getting in the middle of this, ball that Zach Gallen threw. It's not Zach Gallen's fault. He was out there just doing his job. If I ran out on the field and got in between Zach and his catcher and got hit in the head, whose fault is that? Mine or Zach Gallen's? Jesse doesn't want to throw shade at birds. He has nothing to say. The other day I was running and I scared a quail out of a bush that I was nowhere near. It ran into the street, got hit by a car. Was I going to kill that quail? No, but the stupid bird ran out and got hit in the... Now I have to think about that and feel guilty for that. I hate you, birds. And it's not our fault that you can't follow the rules about staying out of the roads or staying out of the way of a pitch coming in hot. Yeah? Anything?
I mean...
They poop on your car, Jesse. They poop on your sick RAV4, and I know you don't like that.
They do.
Any shots at birds you want to get in here?
I mean, I'm not a big bird guy in general.
People in the studio don't even believe they're real.
Yeah.
Damon's never even seen a baby bird in his whole life. He doesn't believe they're a real thing.
Right.
Birds are not real.
See?
Emma has her conspiracy theories with baby pigeons in particular.
Yeah, they're listening devices or something. These people are fucking crazy around here. But their hatred for birds has bonded us between all of us. And Zach Gallen. Zach Gallen hates birds too. And I'm with it. So
just to clarify, so you're saying that that it is a no-fly zone, like baseball stadiums in general are just a no-fly zone for birds, and birds are not welcome and should stay away.
We're using that as the short title. That's okay. Yeah, we're gonna cut this segment. That's what we're using right there.
All right.
Yeah, that's it. But these sunglasses that we're wearing, by the way, for throwing shade, are presented by our friends at Shady Rays. So, of course, check them out, because not only can you get wonderful sunglasses like this delivered to you, but of course they have a brand new shop. Brand new in-store location at Kierland Commons, a full-stop shop for all things Shady Rays. But of course, Shady Rays is gear that's built to last. It's an independent sunglass company. They have a world-class product, and of course, they have one of the craziest, insane protection plans in all of eyewear. Every pair of sunglasses is backed by their lost and broken replacements plan. If you lose or break your pair, even on day one, they told us they will send you a brand new pair. No questions asked. They have your back as long after you purchase. If you don't love your Shady Rays, you can also exchange them for a new pair or return them for free within 30 days. Again, there's no risk when you shop. Exclusively for our listeners, Shady Rays is giving out their best deal of the season. Go to shadyrays.com and use code PHNX for 50% off 2+ pairs of polarized sunglasses. Try them for yourself. They are the Shades rated 5 stars by over 250,000 people. And also shout out to our friends at Pins and Aces. When you talk about quality gear, we got the quality sunglasses, we got quality polo shirts from our friends at Pins and Aces, and they are the official golf apparel partner of PHNX and All City. We love our Pins and Aces gear, even though mine is slightly inappropriate. I cannot wear it to functions for my child, but that's mostly because it's marijuana themed. But they have other stuff that isn't marijuana themed that you can get. They have amazing prints, and of course, you know I'm all about those. They make amazing polos, hats, golf bags, and even an incredible beer sleeve, so you can make sure to keep your beers frosty when you go out there and do some golfing. And speaking of golfing, you can join us for the Keeping It 100 golf tournament at Dobson Ranch on May 26th. Pins and Aces will be there with prizes and so much more. You get that beautiful Phoenix polo shirt for signing up. And of course, there is some pricing options for you diehard members out there. So check it out. The link is in the option below. And you can check out Pins and Aces and use code PHNX to receive 15% off your first order and get free shipping. That's pinsandaces.com. We thank you guys, of course, for being here today on the PHNX Sports YouTube channel. Make sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Sign up for notifications so you don't miss when we go live or any of the shows on the network go live. Leave us a thumbs up just for our own self-esteem. If you're listening to us on your favorite audio podcasting app, please subscribe to us there as well if you haven't done so, and leave us a review. We always appreciate the feedback. Now taking a look at the numbers from this series. Again, baseball is going to baseball, so things look very close, especially with that comeback win that the A's had there in Game 2. But again, a big part of this that does tell the tale why the Diamondbacks didn't sweep this series, Jesse, is those 3 errors to the 0 errors that the A's had defensively.
Yeah.
Those were some pretty critical errors.
They absolutely were. The D-backs kind of shot themselves in the foot in this series with their defense. But at the end of the day, I mean, when coming into this series, looking at the ERAs for the Oakland A's starting pitchers in the series, you figured the D-backs had the upper hand, right? All 3 starting pitchers that the Oakland A's employed in this 3-game series had ERAs north of 7 coming into these 3 games. And there were some guys who actually pitched pretty decently, but all in all, you see here the D-backs starting pitchers in this series very much outperformed the Oakland A's, and ultimately, I think that was the biggest difference between these two teams. D-backs continue to struggle a little bit with runners in scoring position. Yep. Derek, that narrative just refuses to die. But they had a few more than their fair share of hits with runners in scoring position early in the season. So I guess you kind of figured these things were gonna kind of balance out when it was all said and done.
We could have done our entire throwing shade segment at the umpires in this series because this crew has just flat out been atrocious. And it's wild because we talk a lot about umpires. It's like any sport. The officiating is always going to be a focus. And you're always going to feel, if you're rooting for one team, like you got the short end of the stick. I don't know if that was the case in today's game as much as it was just flat out bad. The zone was bad.
A lot of high strikes.
And we're surprised because we saw the umpire scorecard for yesterday's game, and it wasn't nearly as bad as we thought it was going to be, essentially in favor of the Oakland A's. So we'll reserve judgment until we see tomorrow what today's scorecard looks like. But just overall, it felt like the umpiring was a bit out of control in this series. And
I think it's Brock Ballou, right? I mean, he's public enemy. He's the true public enemy.
He's the star. He's the star of the show, of course. As you know, Brock Ballou.
Yeah, he certainly made a name for himself. An umpire that no Diamondbacks fan had probably ever heard of coming into the series. Now every Diamondbacks fan knows the name Brock Ballou, and has already made the pun. That Brock Ballou the call. We've heard that about 1 billion times on Twitter at this point.
That was a good one. I like that.
I did not come up with that, Derek.
It's fine. Take credit where you can. You know what I mean?
But yeah, the umpiring was not great, and I think it was maybe less so that the zone was terrible. As you said, the umpire scorecard actually said that Ballou was above average yesterday in terms of his strike calling accuracy, which was a little surprising. But I think it was just the calls that he missed were in some pivotal situations. The call against Josh Rojas in a key situation in the 8th inning as the D-backs are trying to bounce back yesterday from the grand slam, and then starting extra innings. There was a really a very, very low called third strike against Ketel Marte that just kind of had that same effect. So, maybe it wasn't quite as bad as what we were thinking in the moment, but I still think it's fair to say the umpiring crew in Oakland, this was not a great showing for that crew.
What I don't like is when the calls are erratic and then the umpire is kind of like escalating the situation. And to give Brock Ballou some credit for that, he had a very quick trigger throwing out Torey Lovullo and hilariously throwing out Merrill Kelly after he'd already been pulled from the game in game 1 of this series, right? But yesterday, he got like Diamondbacks players in his face barking at him quite a bit. And I almost felt like at times, like the Nick Ahmed situation where he gave him the pitch clock strike.
There were some weird shenanigans.
And the Josh Rojas situation.
Strikes.
I felt like he let them kind of go at him a little bit more than I thought he would have, right? He didn't really, it looked like he could have tossed, especially Rojas, because Rojas was really aggressive about what had happened. And I think that
he went back to the dugout pretty quick. I think
after he struck out.
Yeah, I think Josh Rojas kind of knew in that situation that it would have been very costly if he had been tossed from the game.
Yeah.
The D-backs, I think, would have been forced to use Emmanuel Rivera as their third baseman, which I believe would have caused them to lose their DH spot altogether. So there would have been some pretty big ramifications if Josh Rojas had gotten tossed from the game because he was coming in for Evan Longoria. Evan Longoria was already out of the game.
And you remember how he performed in that game.
Yeah, that wasn't a great day for Evan Longoria either. So yeah, I think Josh Rojas maybe in some situations would have really let Brock Ballou know what was on his mind, but he kind of had to be careful there because the ramifications of him being tossed were pretty significant in that moment.
When this afternoon's game followed the same script as last night's game, I think you and I were both saying, "Oh shit, here we go again."
There was another 7th inning, game-tying, soul-crushing home run, right?
Shit, but you get what I'm saying there, right? Yeah, it was soul-crushing, and it felt like it was going to go the same way. And you got to give this team a lot of credit for bouncing back, even though it's against the worst team in baseball. The narrative would be much different. We'd be sitting here talking about the Diamondbacks losing 2 out of 3 to the worst team in baseball, and the sky, as much as Jesse would say wouldn't be falling, would absolutely be pummeling in my head right now, because I would be freaking out, right? And it's just one game, really, at the end of the day. Of course, there is something to take away from this, that the Diamondbacks still can't rely on their bullpen, but they also can't expect their bullpen to fill in the way that it has, especially being a man down and be able to hold these leads and do it every single night. They did a great job tonight, though, even though, they did blow the game, right? You did have Luis Frias. I imagine Luis Frias is going to probably be sent back down. I think somebody said that in the chat. I wouldn't be surprised to see that, just to have some other arm here for this next series coming up. But we'll talk about the probables for that series. And of course, we still have a little bit to talk about Alek Thomas being sent down to Reno. But before we do that, of course, if you are heading out on the road, if you're heading out to Reno or Las Vegas or anywhere on a road trip, make sure to stop by our friends at Circle K. Check out our local Circle K for the best coffee, beer, and snack selection. They have great premium gas, and honestly, the gas screen entertainment is top notch, next level entertainment while you're filling up your gas there. But make sure to check out their Polar Pops. Of course, they have iced coffee for $1.89, 12 packs of beer for just $9.99, and they have buy 2 get 1 free fast Twitch 12-ounce bottles. So make sure you're not missing out on all this great stuff. Right now, you can text PHNX to 31310 to join their SMS subscriber club and get a buy 1 get 1 free offer on 32-ounce Polar Pops. So head to circlek.com/store-locator to find Circle K's near you. And while you're there, you can pick up our friends at Four Peaks Beer. They have a wide variety of beer. No matter what beer you like, you can pick it up there at Circle K. You can go down to their 8th Street pub and get it fresh out of the tap. And of course, you can also win some Arizona Diamondbacks tickets. Four Peaks 4 seats giveaway. They're going to give one lucky winner 4 seats to an upcoming Diamondbacks game. Tickets come with D-Bucks, so you can grab some food, ice cold Wow Wheat or Hop Knot, and enjoy yourself some lovely baseball. Enter by going to @4peaksbrew on Instagram. The link is in their bio, and you can check them out at 4 Peaks Brew or at 4 Peaks Pub on Instagram to keep up with the latest at Arizona's hometown brewery. Must be 21 or older to drink Four Peaks. Please drink responsibly. We've talked about it a little bit here, but Alek Thomas was sent down. We knew that that was a potential move, especially with the fact that should they have decided to make a move with Evan Longoria, it most likely would have been a DFA situation where Thomas has options to be sent down. But what were your thoughts? I mean, obviously, it's not like this is kind of out of nowhere. We know Thomas has really been struggling at the plate. We just talked about it on yesterday's episode that he was a potential candidate to be sent down.
Yeah, I wasn't surprised. I mean, in some way, like if you had told me at the beginning of the season, before the season started, that on May 17th, both Jake McCarthy and Alek Thomas were going to be playing for AAA Reno, I probably would have thought things weren't going so well for the Diamondbacks. Yeah. So honestly, it's incredible that they've had the success that they've had without those two guys really giving them much of anything in terms of offense this season. But yeah, I wasn't surprised. The reality is Alek Thomas has some flaws in his swing. And I think we've kind of known this for a while. We suspected that over the offseason, Alek Thomas might make some pretty significant swing changes. And he did make changes. There were adjustments that were made over the offseason, but they were much more approach-based than they were mechanical. And that's what kind of surprised me coming into the year. I expected to see something significantly different for Alek Thomas, and that just isn't what we saw. It sounds like the Diamondbacks are sending Alek Thomas down now with the intention of digging a little bit deeper into his swing and maybe making some pretty significant mechanical adjustments. The D-backs have been basically operating with Thomas in a platoon role for a while. They haven't been playing him against lefties. That was something that Torey said recently. But Torey, when talking about this earlier today, said, we feel like he's just too talented for that, mostly because of what he does defensively. He's just too good of a player, and he should, with his hand-eye coordination, be an everyday player without giving any consideration as to who's pitching. So similar situation to Jake McCarthy, where the D-backs are like, you know, you're all right. Like, we think you'd figure it out, but we think you're better than this. We think you're capable of doing more. And, you know, if we have to send you down for a while in order to get you to that level, we're willing to do that.
There was some information that came through that I had to look up, and that was from Connor Mormon, who said, how about those fourth place Padres? Believe it or not, Jesse, the Padres losing today and a Giants win puts the Padres in fourth place.
That's crazy.
In the National League West.
The Padres just lost 2 of 3 to the Royals at home. So I know they've played I think they've had a couple series against the Dodgers this month, but the Royals are, you know, the Royals aren't the Dodgers, and the Padres just can't really get much of anything going right offensively right now.
The Padres have the third highest payroll in baseball at $245 million in 2023.
$245 million doesn't get you what it used to.
It really just doesn't. It really just doesn't. But not to tap dance on the grave of their season.
That's exactly what you're doing.
I feel like I do that a lot around here. Let's take a look at the All City division numbers while we're at it, if we have them, because things are looking good for the Diamondbacks, baby. The only team in All City with a winning record right now at 25-19, and pretty proud about that.
Yeah.
Just need to get some distance on these other teams behind us, Jesse. Just leave them in the rearview mirror and just run away with this division, even though it actually doesn't mean anything in the grand scheme of things.
I continue. Also, I think we need to explain this for some people. I'm pretty sure 90% of our viewers and our listeners know what the All City division is.
Sure,
and
there are some people listening that don't know that we're putting this graphic up and just talking about it. I forget about them. I love you, listeners. I know I put the viewers over you as a priority, but I love the listeners too. The Arizona Diamondbacks, our podcast, PHNX D-backs, we're taking credit for their achievements. We're in first place overall in the All City Network division. All City Network includes DNVR and CHGO, which
our sister companies.
Our sister companies. The way I refer to the Tampa Bay Rays as our sister team for the Diamondbacks. These are our sister companies. CHGO, of course, has the Cubs and the White Sox, and then DNVR has the Rockies. That's what you're seeing in front of you right now. And of course, I think the Diamondbacks are just going to continue to run away with this division, Jesse. I don't know what's going to happen with the Dodgers, but the Diamondbacks might sneak up on them too. Word is that they have lost Dustin May now for a considerable amount of time with an injury.
Yeah, huge loss for the Dodgers. It's a flexor pronator strain was the diagnosis for Dustin May, which just came out a little bit ago.
I'm sure he'll be back by August. and be fine by then.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, August is far away, Derek. So I think Dave Roberts said the floor was 1 month. So it's going to be a while for them without Dustin May, who's been one of their most consistent pitchers this season. Maybe Clayton Kershaw would be right up there too. But yeah, big loss for the Dodgers. They do have a lot of pitching depth, so I think they'll be okay. But yeah, as far as the All City division goes, Derek, the Cubs remain. The Cubs remain a little bit interesting to me. I think they could dig themselves out of being 19-23. They've really fallen in the standings here over the last few weeks.
They were playing some pretty good baseball there earlier.
They were. Cody Bellinger just got hurt. We'll kind of see where that goes for them. But I continue to think that the Cubs could probably hang around 500 and, be playing relevant games late into the season. I never fully bought into them though as a playoff contender. So. You've seen a lot of correction in the standings here over the last couple weeks, and we'll see if things tip back in the positive direction for the Cubs.
Michael Rokicki says a lot of the high payroll teams struggling: San Diego, the Mets, the Yankees. Those are the 3 top payrolls in baseball, right? And when you look at those, the Yankees are in 4th place in their division up there in the NL East. The Mets are in 3rd place, AL East, NL East. The Mets are in 3rd place. And the Padres are in 4th place. So, yes, money can't buy you happiness, nor can it buy you championships. But
I'm thinking we have to win something as a podcast if we win this all-city division.
Yeah, you're right.
Like, it's not even...
There should be an all-city cup.
There absolutely should be.
Brandon needs to come down with something for us.
I'm with it. I'm with it. Let's take a look at the probables for the Arizona Diamondbacks here in their upcoming series with the Pirates, who, once again, another team that the Diamondbacks run into at a pretty good time. Pirates have not been playing very good baseball, so hopefully this is another winnable series for the Diamondbacks.
Yeah, I think so. The Pirates the Oakland A's have the worst record in baseball, but the Pirates over the last couple weeks have been possibly the worst team in the game.
Equally bad, if not
after
worse.
A strong start. They've really struggled. Mitch Keller is kind of the headliner name in this series. Mitch Keller has had an outstanding season for the Pirates this year. He's been a big part of the success that they've had. But outside of that one, Derek, you feel pretty good about the pitching matchups. There's another series where you have both Zach Gallen and Merrill Kelly starting. Brandon Pfaadt was a lot better in his last start.
Look at how innocent and wholesome he looks in that photo right there, Jesse.
Brandon Pfaadt, is that who you're talking about?
Yeah, Brandon Pfaadt.
Like first day at school vibes.
Yeah, big time first day at school vibes. I feel
Brandon Pfaadt's just a pretty wholesome person in general,
I feel like that's the same expression the bird had on its face before Gallen tagged it with the ball. I don't know.
That can't be good.
That's not a good sign. But yeah, no, I mean, when you talk about Gallen and Kelly going in any series, I think you like your chances of winning it. But I do like Brandon Pfaadt there being in the middle in this rotation where he's at, right? In between those two guys. Not only, I think, for stability for the entire rotation, but I think you're going to get length out of Gallen and Kelly, and you don't really know right now what you're going to get out of Pfaadt. So the last thing you want is your 3 rookies going back to back to back and just really exhausting your bullpen potentially over the course of 3 games.
That's a very good point. And it'll be interesting to see if there are any other roster moves around the corner, if the D-backs stick with Luis Frias, or if there's a move in store there. They do have the off day tomorrow, which will help them kind of catch up on some much needed bullpen rest that a lot of guys back there need.
Yeah.
We saw Jose Ruiz pitch again in this game, even though he threw, I think it was 36 pitches in the game yesterday, threw a couple of innings. So yeah, there are some guys who have been pretty heavily taxed in these last few days. And the D-backs have an 8-man bullpen now. I sort of expect them to continue with that. I would be pretty surprised if the D-backs sent down Luis Frias and didn't bring up another pitcher to replace him if they went back to having the extra position player. But we'll have to see what they do.
I mean, as it stands, they finally got their bullpen back to what we would consider full strength, if you will. But
yeah,
I also feel like that extra arm, I mean, maybe keep Luis Frias up and maybe option someone else. I don't know. I don't know if that's the greatest move. I don't feel like Frias really gave you enough today to really feel comfortable about having him. But the
D-backs depth in the minors as far as the bullpen goes is just it's not great. Carlos Vargas has really struggled since being sent down. Justin Martinez has really struggled since being sent down.
Those are the guys that we really needed to be the fireballers we thought they could be.
Those were the guys who kind of have the ceiling of being true back-end relievers. So for everyone wondering, why are we calling up Luis Frias again? He kind of outperformed everyone else by a pretty significant margin in the minor league. So unfortunately, the D-backs depth just remains pretty thin in the bullpen, even though they do have the 8 arms now.
Yeah. Well, we want to tell you guys, of course, we know summer is here. We know you got to figure out something to do with these kids. My daughter today was getting her year-end awards. We got the clap out at the end of this week, which is where all the parents
clap out?
for the 6th graders, because it's elementary school, the parents get to come to school and we all applaud them as they leave school for the last time, because they've been going to this school their whole lives and this is the end of the road.
Wow.
So they get kind of like a standing ovation on their way out. Basically, the kids just bawl. They just cry the whole way out. The parents, we just bawl, just snot dripping out of our nose. Just, my baby's growing. It's great.
Are kids really that devastated to leave 6th grade?
I think
is that emotional of a moment for them?
From my daughter's perspective, it's like the only school she's ever known.
That's fair.
And it's also a big leap. Like, for instance, I know most of these kids are in the same boat. The junior high school that they're going to go to is so far away. Like, it's so far away. They're going to be on a bus for like 25 minutes before they get to school and stuff. So it's like, it's not just that leaving the nest of the school you grew up in, but it's close to home, and now they're going to be like actually traveling. It's like going to work. They get to figure out what it's like to live this life. Zone in Arizona said the clap out is when you clap and then the umpire throws you out. Yes, Christian Walker is invited to my daughter's school on Friday so that an umpire can toss him for clapping. But of course, like I said, summer's around the corner and you need to figure out something to do with the kids. So make sure to check out Octane Raceway and Mavericks. It's an absolute blast. And I don't think parents just drop kids off at places like this anymore like they used to do to us in the 90s. But the good part about that means it's fun for you too to go. So they have summer passes right now available that include all of their fun premium games and things you can do. You got a Memorial Day, of course, coming up here soon. They're going to have at Mavericks free bowling for veterans and active duty personnel who show their military ID from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. In addition, the venue will open early at 10 a.m. and feature doorbuster deals, including buy one, get one free $20 game cards and buy one, get one free laser tag from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. So show up on Memorial Day. There's free axe throwing at Octane for all active and retired military personnel. You just need your military ID once again. So book some fun this spring at Octane Raceway and Mavericks. Kart racing, virtual reality, laser tag, axe throwing, bowling, that wonderful arcade, and great food and drinks. Tons of different events throughout the summer. Check out octaneraceway.com and mavericks.com to learn more. And of course, if you want to go see some baseball with us, want to go see some baseball down at Chase Field, check out Game Time, not only for baseball games, but for all your concerts, all of your events. Game Time is the place for last-minute ticket deals. It's the fastest-growing ticketing app in the country for a reason. You can snag the tickets without the stress with Game Time. Download their app, create an account, and use code PHNX for $20 off your first purchase. Terms do apply. Again, create an account and redeem code PHNX for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last-minute ticket deals, lowest price, guaranteed. Before we go, you guys all know Megaran, buddy, friend of the show. He's the guy that sings that Mailbag Monday song that we all love, and you should probably check out the rest of his catalog because he's quite a good rapper. But I just wanted to give out a shout out to him. Him and his wife, Rachel, have been family for a long time, and they've been raising a foster son that they completed the adoption process on today. So he's family. Cool. He's not going anywhere, and I just wanted to congratulate them once again. We were down here at the Washington Street Courthouse. The judge told us that she had never seen the room filled that much. So It was great to see all those people out, and it was great to just be present for such a wonderful thing as a family coming together. And there were some really wonderful things said. So again, I just want to give a personal shout out to a friend of ours around here at PHNX, a member of our family, and our family continues to grow. So great thing. Love you, by the way, to the Jarbos.
It's I mean, that's bigger news for you than anyone, right? Because now you get to hang out with the little guy.
Oh yeah, buddy hangs out with us. We actually watch him quite often. The other day I was getting teary-eyed like I am now watching a video, because even on my phone, I have a video of him growing up over the few times we've watched him, and I just had to wipe a little tear from my eye for him. But it's a beautiful thing, and if anybody has ever gone through any kind of fostering process or adoption process, it's not easy. And today was today was the finish line, and it was just great to be there and hear not only the judge but everybody involved say just such wonderful things about making this family complete. So it was really cool.
Yeah, we just have to warn Megaran that if his son comes home one day with purple hair, we have a theory about who might have put him up to that.
If Lourdes slumps, I might have to watch him for a weekend, and then he might have to come home with purple hair. That's all I'm saying. But of course, we love you guys, and it's always great, wonderful thing in life to see something like that. But we thank you guys for being here. We thank you guys always for stopping by. You can follow us on Twitter. I am at Cap_caveman with a K. This maniac next to me is at Jesse N. Friedman. Damon is at Damon DAWG with a little at the end. You got to do that part in order to follow him on Twitter, of course. But our show is at PHNX_DBacks, and all roads lead to at PHNX_sports on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. We appreciate your time. Unless you're a bird, then we don't care about your feelings at all.
I'm still torn about your harshness towards birds today, Derek.
Yeah, sorry. No, we're an anti-bird podcast today.
I just like baseball. That's the way this works. Like baseball is such an outdoor sport, and you're telling all of the birds to stay away.
Stay out. You
I guess
belong.
It's for their own protection. You're just trying to protect them.
No
at the
trespassing,
end of the day,
birds. Right? No trespassing for me. No trespassing for you. But we appreciate you guys' time. We thank you guys so much for stopping by. And of course, on behalf of all these guys, we love you. And remember, kids, baseball is fun, but it's so much more fun when you can actually kill a bird with a baseball.